The Philippine Navy has completed the forensic analysis of one of the drones recovered off Cagayan Island in Cagayan, saying it contained bathymetric data or the depth, temperature, salinity, and other features of a body of water. The drone was one of the 5 recovered by the Navy last year in various parts of the country and one of the 2 drones found on the same island of Cagayan province. Another one with Chinese markings was discovered off San Pascual town in Masbate on December 30, and the United States was helping in the forensic analysis of the device, a procedure that might take 6 to 8 weeks. Citing results from the forensics, Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad says that the information gathered from the recovered drone focused more on bathymetric data such as depth of water, salinity, temperature, and sound signatures. According to Trinidad, the data collected could have applications across different fields, including the military. Trinidad has yet to disclose the origin of the drone and where it could have sent the data it collected, but he says that they would soon identify the receiver. Asked about the implications of the recovered drones on national security, the Navy official points to a subtle effort to map out the country's maritime domain, human terrain, political system, and its critical infrastructure. Trinidad adds that the effort seems to be conducted by a foreign power. Last week, authorities arrested a Chinese national and 2 Filipinos for alleged espionage activities targeting military sites and power installations in the country. The Philippine Coast Guard says 3 more Chinese vessels, including the so-called monster ship, were detected in the vicinity of Bajo de Masinloc as they continue their monitoring efforts of Zambales. In a report on Tuesday, January 28, PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, said the 3 Chinese Coast Guard vessels they detected were Chinese Coast Guard 5901, approximately 99.37 nautical miles from Zambales, Chinese Coast Guard 3502 at 131.70 nautical miles, and Chinese Coast Guard 3103 at 133.97 nautical miles. Meanwhile, Tariela disclosed that BRP Teresa Magbanwa is actively challenging China Coast Guard vessel 3304, which was last seen about 82 to 88 nautical miles from the Zambales shoreline. The PCG vessel replaced BRP Cabra on Monday, January 27, as the latter was tasked with transporting the body of a fisherman recovered from Silanguin Island to Subic Port. It arrived at the port to unload the remains on Tuesday morning. Tariela assured that the PCG is committed to ensuring the safety of the country's fishermen, safeguarding its maritime jurisdiction, enforcing international law, and preventing escalation of tensions. Beijing's continued aggression was based on its assertion of sovereignty over almost the entire South China Sea, including most of the West Philippine Sea, as it continues to reject the 2016 arbitral ruling that effectively dismissed its claims and ruled in favor of Manila. The Quezon City Prosecutor's Office has junked the complaint filed by the police against Vice President Sara Duterte over her actions during the tense transfer of her then Chief of Staff Zulaika Lopez from her detention room at the House of Representatives to a private hospital on November 23 last year. The prosecutor's office dismissed the direct assault, disobedience, and grave coercion complaints filed by the Quezon City Police District against Duterte. In a resolution dated January 17, the Department of Justice prosecutors said there was no prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction to indict Duterte and her Vice Presidential Security and Protection Group Commander Dante La Chica over their heated encounter with the complainant, Lieutenant Colonel Van Jason Villamor of the Quezon City Police District. Based on the resolution, Assistant City Prosecutor Criseline Carayugan Lugos said not one of the witnesses of Villamor corroborated his claims regarding the purported attack, employment of physical force, intimidation, resistance, disobedience, violence, and threats. The prosecutors said the witnesses also did not recount the incident and describe Villamor's behavior, which they said could have persuaded them that he was threatened and intimidated, if at all. The prosecutors added that Villamor sent a video footage of the encounter to support his complaint, but it negates his own asseverations. The prosecutors stressed they are constrained to dismiss the complaint for insufficiency of evidence. In his complaint, Villamor alleged that Duterte placed her right hand on his chest and pushed him away while he was escorting Lopez in a stretcher and into a Philippine National Police ambulance that would take her to St. Luke's Medical Center in Quezon City. According to Villamor, La Chica also shoved him while telling him to step aside. But the prosecutors said these acts did not meet the elements of direct assault since placing a hand over the chest, pushing, and shoving do not constitute attack or physical force. The prosecutors also found no ground for disobedience to authority, noting that Villamor was not performing his official functions during the encounter. The grounds for the grave coercion charge were also lacking since the confrontation between the Vice President's aides and Villamor failed to show that it was affected by violence, threats, or intimidation. The prosecutors also took note that Duterte, during the incident, told Villamor that Lopez's transfer stemmed from a lawful order and was heard telling Villamor to stop and back off. According to the resolution, these words were not at all threatening, nor do they qualify as intimidation. Villamor's complaint stemmed from the commotion that marked the transfer of Lopez from the house to St. Luke's in the morning of November 23. Lopez was then a house detainee who had been cited in contempt for allegedly being evasive during a public hearing into Duterte's alleged misuse of confidential funds given to the office of the Vice President. Lopez had a panic attack upon learning that she was being transferred from the house to the Correctional Institution for Women in Mandaluyong, prompting Duterte to come to her aid. 2 individuals were killed in a fire that struck a condominium in Binondo, Manila early Wednesday morning, January 29, according to the Bureau of Fire Protection. Based on the BFP spot report, the fire was first reported at 3:25 a.m. on Wednesday, reaching the first alarm at 3:41 a.m. but was under control by 4:37 a.m. The BFP says the fire originated in a unit on the 35th floor of the Anchor Sky Suites, a 56-story condominium along Ongpin Street. The fire was extinguished by 4:51 a.m., leaving one family affected and damage at an estimated worth of 4.5 million pesos. The Fire Bureau is still investigating the cause of the fire.